My Life Hayati by Usama Hassan. Sunday, August 21, 2022, 12:42 p.m. Hayati entered the church. She prayed in front of the Jesus statue, her eyes closed, and dripping tears. Why are you taking everything away from me? First my husband and now everyone who tries to come near me or harm me. I don't want it all to happen. As she was in her own zone, the father of the church came to her. Don't cry, my child. The father said, walking towards her. I can't make up words. I have heard what you said. The father walked before her. God loves you. So why is he taking everyone away from me? She whipped her tears. If you think God did that. The father paused long. This is all destiny chose for them. You don't have to worry about anything. Hayati didn't understand a single word what father had said. She left the church with a strange grief in her heart. She hoped for the matter to stop. She couldn't take it anymore. Year 2022. Sir. There is a body, one of the constables said to the show Abu Bakr. Early in the morning, the Lahore police found the dead corpse of a young doctor on the ground next to Shalimar Hospital. Looking at the body, it seemed that he had committed suicide by jumping off the roof. Show Abu Bakr walked towards the group of police officers and some student doctors, surrounding the corpse. The officers looked at him and gave him the way. When it happened? He asks, heads up, looking towards the student doctors. During my night shift tomorrow. When I was asking him some questions. He was all okay. But suddenly his tone changed. It was like he was possessed by some spirit or ghost. He walked up the roof. I called him several times but he didn't even listen to a word, so I followed him. Then out of the blue, he ran and jumped off the roof. The girl in the glasses with short black curly hair said, "You have to come to the police station tomorrow for the statement." He said to her. "Sure, sir." She replied with a fake smile. "Sir. There is a note." The same constable gave him a piece of paper. On his ID card twisted around her neck was her name, now covered with dust. He is Dr. Umar Haroon. The constable speaks out loud. Hayati, sorry I don't deserve you. Show Abu Bakr read the letter and whispered to himself. Who is this Hayati? Send the body for investigation. He walked back to the police jeep and left. Midnight, Shalimar Hospital, Lahore. It is her first night shift. Dr. Aruba was sitting in her office patiently waiting for any patients to walk into the hospital at this dark time. Meanwhile, she was talking to Nurse Amna. Their wait is useless. For about 2 hours, it's for sure now that there would be no patient tonight. She and Nurse Amna walked out to visit the undiscovered areas of the hospital. On their way to the second floor, they saw Dr. Umar Haroon sitting on the bench with his hands folded high on his chest. Both the girls walked towards him and asked him about a girl named Neha. A girl to whom Umar sent the marriage proposal. Did she say yes? Dr. Aruba asked, smiling. It's 50-50, he said with a hand gesture. However, before the conversation could fully unfold, he rose from his seat and approached the reception area. With deliberate purpose, he retrieved a piece of paper and pen, his actions guided by an unseen force. As ink met paper, the message emerged, Hayati, sorry I don't deserve you. Umar made his way to the hospital rooftop, waited there for a moment, eyes pointed towards the dark, and then ran towards his death. He jumped off the roof. The weight of this haunting moment settled upon Aruba and Nurse Amna as they bore witness, their eyes tracing the path of Umar's flight. The night held its secrets, leaving the girls in confusion and terror of something unknown. The whole scenario left the public with the mystery of Hayati. The next day, as Show Abu Bakr ordered, Dr. Aruba drove to the police station with Nurse Amna. She and Amna narrated the whole incident of that night to him without even skipping a minor detail. You have to see this. One constable came to him to turn on the TV. On the TV screen, the CITY42 news channel, the anchor started presenting the sad news. Good evening, viewers. We bring you a distressing update from Lahore. A series of disturbing events have unfolded as more male corpses have been found across different areas of the city. Even more unsettling is that a suicide note has accompanied each of these tragic discoveries. The screen shows images of various locations in Lahore fenced off by the police, with officers investigating the scenes. The images of suicide notes were shown. Each one is slightly different from the other. There is Hayati written on all of them. Bring me the suicide notes. Show Abu Bakr ordered the constable, put on his police cap, and rushed out, lighting up a cigarette. Who is this Hayati? Why is everyone dying for her? Aruba asked Amna, who was standing clueless next to her. I think, she is so beautiful. Why would anyone die for a new-looking woman? Amna whispered to her. There is definitely something between Umar and this Hayati. But what? I never saw him talking about Hayati. Aruba whispered to herself. Show Abu Bakr walks inside the station. He was out to finish his cigarette and make some important phone calls. This Hayati thing is making him crazy. Inside the station, he stood in front of the girls and stared at them. He was looking at both of them suspiciously. For him, one of them could be Hayati. So you saw Umar going up to the terrace? He asks. Yes. Both said in unison. Why did neither of you stop him? Someone going on the terrace is normal. We thought he wanted some air. Aruba said, interrupted by Amna. Sir. We didn't do anything. I promise. Amna stammered. Sir, we don't know he would do something like that. Aruba continues. Abu Bakr stared at them quietly for a moment then said, you can leave now. Can someone now find Sin's Hayati? I want her here at any cost. He shouted. For the whole week, Dr. Aruba and Nurse Amna felt the presence of Hayati inside Shalimar Hospital. They both had thought to themselves that somewhere in the hospital there was Hayati, the girl whom they neither knew nor had ever seen, but now they were bearing her name. The Sunday morning, Aruba spent about 2 hours searching for Hayati on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and every social media site on the internet. She found nothing but one thing: the name Hayati is not a real name. All of the accounts use it as a nickname. What are you doing? You look worried. Her sister Sana asks, giving her the coffee mug. Thanks. I want to find this Hayati. Niha. No. Not Niha. Hayati. She killed Dr. Umar. Wait. I saw the news. Dr. Umar commits suicide, and all the others. How could Hayati kill them? Now it is obvious for Aruba to conclude that Sana knows something about Hayati. Are you involved with this Hayati? Tell me. Who is she? She asks angrily. She is my best friend. And you know her? I don't know any one of your friends being Hayati. A murderer. She is Niha. Niha Harun. And when these people commit suicide, she was with me. So you are saying that Niha, that innocent-looking girl, killed 5 people. She did not kill anyone. Sana calls Niha only to clear Aruba's confusion about her being the killer. Around 30 minutes later Niha reached Sana's house. Knock, knock. Sana opens the door. She welcomed Niha and took her straight to Aruba's room. Meet her. Sana said to Niha. I know her, Niha whispered, looking at Sana in confusion. She smiled and said, Hello Aapi. In Urdu Aapi means elder sister. Tell her about the people who died in the news. Sana said to Niha as she gave her an order. Okay. They all came with a marriage proposal, and the next day they all committed suicide, and wrote my name on the suicide note. I did nothing. I didn't even reject them yet. Niha spoke, clueless. So. You are Hayati? Aruba asks. Yes, I am. For sure there is something that you are hiding. Otherwise, why would 5 people commit suicide together? And all of them wrote your name. Aruba blamed her, staring at her with a serious look on her face. I promise Aapi I did nothing. I am Hayati but, the people who died. I did not kill any of them. Aruba stared at Niha and Sana. Get out of my room both of you. The following day, Dr. Aruba made her way to the police station, her mind resolved to uncover the truth about Hayati. She knew she had to act, to bring this mystery to light. Walking into the police station, she approached Shoaib Abubakar. Sir. I know who is Hayati. I am sure that she was involved in these murders. Aruba gave him the number she took from Sana's phone. Shoaib Abubakar, a stern-looking man with a reputation for being thorough, took Aruba's words seriously. He nodded, instructing a constable to immediately bring Hayati to the station for questioning. The constable hurriedly left to execute the order. In no time, Niha arrived at the police station, escorted by 2 female constables. Shoaib Abubakar recognized her right away. Her identity was not a secret due to her father, Harun Riaz, being the commissioner of Lahore. Sit down beta. In Urdu we sometimes use beta for daughter. It is also used for son as well, he said to Niha politely and began the interrogation. Abubakar's tone was both firm and respectful as he asked Niha about her connection to Hayati. Niha, looking composed but somewhat weary, admitted that she was indeed Hayati, but she denied any involvement in the deaths. She explained that her husband used to call her Hayati, and that was the reason for her second name. She maintained her innocence, stating that she had not caused harm to anyone. As Niha spoke, Abubakar observed her closely, trying to discern any hint of deception. He considered her words against the backdrop of the suicide cases. He cut off her name from this case. Yet, Abubakar's experience reminded him not to rush to judgment. The situation was delicate. Niha's status as the commissioner's daughter meant that immediate and forceful action could lead to undesirable consequences. In a calculated move, Abubakar decided not to detain Niha. He couldn't ignore her connection to the incidents, but her familial background posed challenges. Instead, he needed an alternative solution. With a heavy heart, he came to a decision that appeared to be the only way forward for now. Turning his attention to Dr. Aruba, he decided to take a different approach. You have no evidence for her being involved in these deaths. He expressed his concern to Aruba, explaining that the evidence against Niha was not sufficient for her arrest. However, to prevent further unnecessary damage, he told Aruba that she would be detained temporarily under allegations of false accusations. Aruba was taken aback by the unexpected turn of events. What is happening here? 2 constables were now taking Aruba towards the other side of the police station. She found herself facing the consequences of her actions. Abubakar's decision seemed unfair, but he believed it was the most prudent course of action at this juncture. With a heavy heart and a mix of frustration and resignation, Aruba found herself behind bars, the walls of the cell closing in on her. Her pursuit of truth had led her down a road she had not anticipated, and as she sat there, her mind raced, searching for a way to clear her name. While being behind bars, she still wants to reveal the real truth and solve the enigma that surrounded Hayati and the tragic deaths. Monday, August 2020. It is early in the morning, and between the walls of the LUMS they both see each other for the first time and in a very different kind of situation. It was never anticipated that life would take them where they are today. Arham and Mehran were standing by the benches in the corner. From that very corner, both saw 2 girls walking towards the main area of the university. It looks like they are new to the university and are in search of something. Let's have some fun. Arham walked closer to the new girls. His eyes were locked on the girl in the black dress. On the other hand, Mehran was like he knew the black dress girl. So, where are you girls going? You are new here. Arham said to both of them, but his eyes were still locked on the black dress one. Yes. We want to go to the admission office. Can you help us? The girl next to the girl in the black dress said. There is a rule. You have to answer some questions first. Yes, sure again she said. The girl in the black dress hadn't spoken a single word by now. What's your name? He asks, blocking their path. Sana Hayat. Niha. The girl in the black dress finally said. She didn't give her full name. After giving her a good look from top to bottom, Arham said, Hayati. Mehran came and interrupted him. You guys can leave now. The office is on the left side. He dragged Arham back from where they were staring at the girls. Are you crazy? Do you know who is she? He said to Arham. I know she is a beauty. She is the commissioner's daughter. We both could be in jail if you did something that your mind is forcing you to do. I know you did nothing. You just picked the wrong person to blame. Sho Abubakar said, tapped the police stick on the bar of Aruba's cell. Aruba stood up. Sir, believe me, that girl is not what she looks like. She took a long breath. Listen, sir, if everyone who sent her the marriage proposal to Hayati died, there must be some connection. Aruba was sure about what she was saying. Now you listen, Beta, you will be free to go but get involved again. I have to take action against you. He walked away, ordering the constable to free her. But, Aruba said, but no one listened. In her mind, she is sure that Hayati is the killer. Truth is not that easy to prove. The constable said as he was opening the cell door. Aruba went back home after the whole night in jail. Sho Abubakar didn't file any report against her because he had to include Niha's name, and he couldn't do that because she was the commissioner's daughter. He does not want to trouble Aruba's professional life. Back home, Aruba shouts at Sana, who was working on her laptop, tell me what's wrong with this girl. She is definitely not what she looks like. Why are you so obsessed with her? She did nothing. Sana said and was about to walk away. She didn't want to get into this argument. If she is so innocent, why did she use a fake name, Hayati? Why not use her own name? Arham. Her husband calls him Hayati. That's why she uses her name. Sana shouted and took a long breath. Where the hell is this Arham now? Aruba shouts back. He is dead. Ooh, sorry. Listen. I will tell you the whole story, but no more blaming my friend. Sana repeated college life to her. Niha and Sana were worried, blankly staring at the screen in the LUM's computer lab. They were stuck on some assignment work and the deadline was today. They both tried to log into their accounts but failed miserably. Niha saw Arham sitting in the next row with Mehran. She went to him assuming that he might do something with this account thing. Hey. Niha said to him. Hayati, Arham said, staring at her. Yes. Mehran said, stopping Arham from acting weird. Can any one of you help us? We cannot log into our accounts. Today is the last day for our assignment. Come on. Arham stood up and walked towards Sana. He was a computer science major and knew his way around the system. Niha and Sana were relieved and grateful for him. Just ask me if you are late next time. Arham said and walked away. Arham successfully helped Niha and Sana log into their accounts, and they were able to complete their assignment on time. They thanked Arham and promised to be more careful in the future. From that day on, they made sure to check their accounts regularly to avoid any similar mishaps. In the corner of the lab there was a guy staring at Niha and Sana, thanking Arham for helping them. This guy got his eyes fixed on Niha. Mehran noticed this but ignored. The next day, Niha was walking to her class when she saw the same guy she had seen in the computer lab. He smiled at her and waved, but she didn't remember him. Niha smiled back and continued walking. During a lecture that day, she received a notification on her phone, a friend request on Facebook from a guy named Hamza. She received so many requests from different guys every day that she ignored this request as well. Later that week, Niha started receiving messages from Hamza. He introduced himself and mentioned, "I saw you in the lab that day." Neha was surprised but also a little uncomfortable. She didn't know him and didn't understand how he had found her on Facebook. She politely responded, but made it clear that she wasn't interested in getting to know him better. Over the next few weeks, Neha started noticing Hamza around campus more frequently. He would often try to start a conversation with her, and sometimes even try to touch her arm or shoulder. Neha was becoming increasingly uncomfortable with Hamza's behavior. She didn't know how to make him stop without causing a scene. She continues to ignore him. One day, while Neha was walking to class, she felt someone grab her arm from behind. She turned around to see Hamza, who had been following her. "What is your problem? Go away." She tried to pull away, but his grip was tight. Just then, Arham appeared from behind like a Desi film hero. "Leave her alone or it won't be good for you." He told Hamza to back off and leave Neha alone. Hamza tried to argue, but Arham stood his ground and eventually Hamza walked away. Neha was shaken by the incident, but relieved that Arham had been there to help her. She thanked him for his help and they walked to class together. From that day on, Arham made a point to walk Neha to her classes whenever he could, and made sure that Hamza stayed away from her. "Thank you again." Neha was grateful for Arham's presence in her life, and she realized that she had started to develop feelings for him. "Take me to her house. I want to talk to her." Aruba forced Sana to take her to Neha's house. She wanted to confirm whatever Sana told her previously, and she also have some personal questions for her. "Okay, get ready," Sana said, irritated. Aruba's heart raced as they both stood outside Neha's house, waiting for someone to answer the door. After a few moments, the door opened and they saw Zamran Harun, Neha's elder brother. Aruba could see the surprise in Zamran's eyes as he recognized her. "Ooh. So you must be Aruba. Why are you guys here?" As Aruba stood outside Neha's house, memories of the past flooded her mind. She remembered the time when she and her best friend Anaya used Zamran Harun, the son of the commissioner, to get into medical college. She was surprised to see him, and was ashamed of what they did back then. Aruba was lost in her thoughts when Zamran interrupted her. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked. She can sense a slight feeling of revenge in his eyes. Aruba snapped out of her thoughts and tried to compose herself. "Yes, I'm fine. Sorry, we are here to meet Sana, sorry." "Neha," she replied, forcing a smile. Zamran looked at her skeptically, but didn't say anything. Instead, he invited both of them inside and led them to the living room, where Neha was sitting and watching TV. Aruba was nervous as she sat down across from Neha. She didn't know how to start the conversation, but she knew she had to be careful. She didn't want to reveal too much, but at the same time, she needed to confirm what Sana had told her. "So, Neha, I wanted to talk to you about something. It's kind of personal," Aruba started. Neha looked at her curiously. "What is it?" she asked. "I am sure I told everything." "So you are married to a guy named Arham?" "He is dead?" Aruba asked politely. "Yes. I am married." Neha got confused. She paused for a moment. "I told her but she didn't believe me." Sana interrupted the conversation. "He was murdered. Someone poisoned him. I remember everything. Every time I close my eyes I see the day when he died. This morning when I went for a stroll, I can feel his presence. It's like he is always somewhere around me. Watching me, protecting me." Neha continues. "Can you tell us about where he lives?" Aruba now felt guilt her doubt on Neha. "Sana knows everything. I don't want to relive that moments anymore." Neha started crying. She left the living room leaving Aruba and Sana behind. Sana followed her for consolation. Everything seems quite okay for a week after Arham and Hamza's face-off incident. Hamza didn't talk to Neha physically, not even on Facebook. There is definitely something more to this. When a male ego hurts, it hurts a lot. Neha felt a strange mix of relief and unease during this week of silence from Hamza. She couldn't help but wonder if this break from their interactions was temporary or if it was a sign of something terrible going to happen. Neha ignored all this mess, and after the past week of silence, she got closer to Arham in his usual Hayati thing that he does whenever he sees her. I have noticed something in you, she asked him. What's so special about me? Arham said, munching on Doritos. Why do you always call me Hayati? You know my name, right? Okay. Hayati is an Arabic word, and it means my life. Whenever I see you I feel life inside me. That's why I call you Hayati. Arham saw her blushing. I have to leave now. I have my AI lecture. That is awesome, Neha whispered to herself. She felt love for the first time in her life. It happened. After his last lecture, around 3:30 p.m. when Arham was about to leave, he saw Hamza standing at the gate with his friends, all of them with the baseball bat in their hand. In a surprising twist, as Arham was heading towards the gate, Hamza and a group of his friends approached him with baseball bats in hand. You have to pay for acting smart, Hamza said. There was a feeling of tension in the air, and Neha watched from afar, feeling scared and worried. Please don't make a scene, Neha whispered to herself. Hamza's anger from the past week had reached a boiling point, and it led to a sudden and violent confrontation. Arham was brutally beaten, and it was a harsh reminder of how conflicts can turn ugly. The peaceful university campus was now overshadowed by this dark incident, and its effects would be long-lasting, forever changing the lives of everyone involved. The next day, the principal called both Hamza and Arham to the office after the brutal act of violence in the university. The atmosphere in the office was tense as they sat facing the stern principal. They were both about to get suspended. Your actions have brought shame to our university, the principal said, his voice stern. Violence has no place in this institution, and you both will face serious consequences for your actions. Hamza and Arham hung their heads, realizing the gravity of the situation. Their once promising academic careers were now tarnished by this ugly incident. We will conduct a thorough investigation to determine the extent of your involvement, the principal continued. In the meantime, you are both suspended from all university activities, classes, and events. Consider this time to reflect on your behavior. Neha, who had been watching from a distance, felt a mixture of relief and sadness. She had hoped for a resolution that didn't involve violence, but now it seemed that the consequences of their clash were unavoidable, affecting not only Hamza and Arham but also the entire university community. Take me to his place right now, Aruba asked Sana as they walked out of Neha's house. Who? Sana got confused. Are you stupid? I am talking about Arham. He is no more. And I think Arham's spirit killed those guys. He was true love. He was obsessed with Hayati. Aruba, being a doctor, doesn't believe in this kind of nonsense. Seriously. You believe in this stupid stuff? Spirits do exist, Sana said, being cute. Right on the spot when they were talking about this spirit thing. Aruba started acting weird. It is similar to what happened with Umar in the hospital. What happened? Sana asked. She was scared of seeing her sister in this situation. She asked again and again, but Aruba didn't say a word. Aruba's appearance grew increasingly eerie, her eyes fixated on some invisible presence that seemed to intrude on her senses. Sana, growing more alarmed by the second, reached out to touch her sister's arm, but Aruba recoiled as if she had been burned. Sana, don't, Aruba finally whispered, her voice trembling as though it were not entirely her own. It's here, Sana. Arham, he's here. Aruba's silence continued to stretch, and Sana's desperation grew. She shook her sister gently, trying to break the strange connection that seemed to have overtaken her. Aruba, please, you're scaring me. Snap out of it. But Aruba remained unresponsive, lost in a world that Sana could neither see nor understand. Leave, leave her alone, Sana shouts at her possessed sister. It seems like Arham listened to what Sana said. After 5 or something minutes Aruba got normal. Sana coiled her in her arms. I don't want him to make you believe in spirits like this. Sana held Aruba tightly, relieved to feel her sister's trembling subside as the eerie presence that had consumed her gradually faded away. Aruba's breathing became steadier, and her eyes regained their usual focus. Both of them were still filled with confusion and fear. I don't know what that was, Sana, she whispered, her voice still shaky. I don't understand any of it. We'll figure this out together, Aruba, she reassured her. But for now, we need to stay away from whatever happened with Arham. It's not safe. I want to go to his place. Take me there, please. There must be something or someone who can tell us more about him. Sana didn't argue and took her to Arham's family home. They were now face to face with her sister Dana, who opened the door and gave them a weird look. Dania's eyes widened in surprise as she looked at the two ladies standing at her doorstep. She recognized Sana, but the other woman, Aruba, was a stranger to her. Danya was aware of her brother Arham's tragic demise, and the circumstances surrounding it had left their family in a state of sorrow. Assalamu alaikum. Danya greeted cautiously. In confusion, she said, can I help you? Sana took a deep breath, trying to find the right words. I'm Sana, Arham's friend. This is my sister, Aruba. She just. Sana took a pause. We wanted to learn more about Arham, about what happened. Dania's expression softened as she took in the genuine concern in their eyes. She opened the door wider, inviting them inside. Please, come in. We've been trying to make sense of everything too. As they entered Arham's family home, the air seemed heavy with memories, and the walls whispered stories of a life cut short. There was an atmosphere of unease at Lum's University. News of the clash between Arham and Hamza had spread like wildfire. This clash had put a black dot on the reputation of Lum's. Students continuously whisper the whole incident all day instead of focusing on their studies. I want to meet him, Neha said to Sana. Neha's mind was stuck with the feeling that somehow she was the main reason for this situation. Who do you want to meet? Arham or Hamza? Sana asks. Seriously, Sana. Why do I want to meet Hamza? There is something fishy going on here. Sana smiled at her. I can talk to her sister Danya and I think I can get some information out of her. How do you know this, Danya? 3 days ago I saw her with Arham in the mall. She is my sister Hania's best friend. She usually came for a sleepover. I confirmed with Hania. She is indeed Arham's sister. You are safe. Sana giggled at her. It is not what you think. I am just. Neha blushed. Okay. Okay. Don't be shy. Let's go. They decided to meet Danya in order to gain some insight into the ongoing situation. They arranged a meeting with her at the Mall of Lahore, Baria town, where the atmosphere was much calmer than on the university campus. Danya appeared concerned as she listened to Neha's account of the events that had unfolded between Arham and Hamza. Danya, we just want to understand what happened and if there's any way to make things right, Neha explained. Danya sighed, her expression a mixture of worry and reluctance. I wish this whole mess could be undone, she began. Arham was acting quite weird these days. He was like in love with someone. When I asked him what happened, he just smiles and never says a word. But a few days back. What happened a few days back? Neha and Sana got too curious to know. That day he came home and he was so angry. Arham shouted. I am gonna kill him. I am gonna kill him. Luckily he went out today for some fresh air. He would have killed me if he stayed home. Neha exchanged a concerned glance with Sana, realizing that there might be deeper issues at play. Danya, Do you think there's a way to talk to Arham and make him understand that violence isn't the solution? We don't want to see both of them suffer. Danya nodded, her worry deepening. I hope so. Arham's not a violent person by nature, but something has pushed him to this point. Maybe if he hears from someone he trusts, he'll reconsider his actions. I'll talk to him, and I'll try to make him see reason. But you also need to talk to Hamza. He's been consumed by anger, and it's clouding his judgment. Neha and Sana thanked Danya for her willingness to help, and they left the mall with a glimmer of hope that they could somehow resolve the situation without further escalation. Danya welcomed Aruba and Sana inside. She took them both to the living room. The house was dark from the inside. It was like Arham took all the joy and fun of the family with him. His presence can still be felt in the walls and the pictures on the walls. He left the house but they didn't leave him. Danya turned on the light and all of a sudden the whole ghostly environment changed to a pleasant one. You guys sit. I'll bring you guys something to drink. Danya walked to the kitchen. You don't have to get anything for us. We are here for long. Aruba said. It is better to talk with, not so dry mouth, Danya said out loud from the kitchen. Danya brings some mango juice and lies. There is glass for each of them. Is there anyone else in the house or just you? Sana asks. It is just us in this ghostly house. Everyone else is on their jobs. You don't go to college, this time Aruba asks. Nah. After Arham's death. I just stopped my studies. I got married. I usually live with my husband. He is now out of the country. I am just here with my parents for a few weeks. Sana. Do you remember that day when you and Neha came for the discussion about the clash in the university? Danya reminded her of something important from her past. Yeah. But why are you telling me that? Sana got confused. From that day Hamza and Arham became rivals. Every eye saw blood in his eyes. Hamza did something that he did not want to happen. Something too bad. Did you notice something in his behavior? Aruba asks. Not something so special. He once said, she is mine. How can they take her away? There is a girl she likes but she never told me, and I never tried to ask but it is for sure that he was crazy for her. The girl was Neha. She and Arham love each other a lot and they want to get married. But Neha's father and brother hate Arham. I don't know for what reason. Neha always argues with Zamran about Arham but her family never agrees. Sana told them the whole inside story. Then what? Danya and Aruba asked in unison. They both ran away and got married in court. That's all. Sana ended the story with a question mark for both of them. Do any of you know where is Hamza now? Aruba asks both of them. Nope, Danya said. I never saw him after they were suspended from the university, Sana said and got confused. I don't know why but I only saw Arham after the incident and he looks quite satisfied. I have ignored it then but now I am thinking. Why Hamza didn't come back to the university? When Sana and Aruba searched for Hamza's place over social media and went to the place, they found out that Hamza was missing. He never came back home from the day they were Arham and he was suspended. There was something off. Arham did something wrong. Aruba after searching for Hamza over social media was now scared of her own life. When they were busy with their talk, someone knocked on the door. It's Hania, Danu, my butcha she hugged Danya. Hania's voice was different, it was a mix of masculine and feminine voices and what's more weird was that she called Danya by her nickname Danu. Only Arham calls her by this name. What are you doing here? Aruba and Sana, both asks. Let's have a talk. I will clear all the confusion you have. Hania smiled at Aruba and Sana. Finally it's over. We would see these guys today. Neha said to Sana who was busy in her own zone. Who guys? She asks. Arham and Hamza. Their suspension is over today. Yeah, right. What they assumed wasn't the case. For the whole day in Lums, they didn't see either Arham or Hamza. Even though their suspension was over now, neither of them was still present at the university today. It was like they didn't care. Neha was actually worried that the guys did something wrong because from the start she considered herself the root cause of the clash that happened at the university. Sana and Neha both constantly called Hamza and Arham but nothing worked. For 2 days neither Hamza nor Arham picked up the phone. From social media Sana and Neha found Hamza's address. They both planned to go there and ask in person why he didn't come to the university and what had happened. With the bad luck on their side, they can find Hamza even in his own house. He was missing for 3 days. 3 days later, Neha decided to pay a visit to Arham's house as well. She had grown increasingly worried about the absence of both Arham and Hamza, and her concern was becoming almost unbearable. As she knocked on Arham's door, her heart raced with anticipation. The door swung open, revealing Arham standing there. He looked normal, just as she had seen him the last time. However, there was something in his eyes, a hint of unease that Neha couldn't ignore. She chose to dismiss it. Arham, we've been trying to reach you and Hamza for days. What happened? Why haven't you been coming to the university? Neha inquired, her voice filled with genuine concern. Arham hesitated for a moment before finally speaking. Neha, I'm really sorry for the way things turned out. There's something I need to tell you, but it's complicated. Complicated? What do you mean? Neha got curious. There is clean up something. Something that needs to be done. You don't worry, I will be back at Lums tomorrow. Arham's cryptic response left Neha both confused and concerned. She knew Arham well enough to sense that something was not right, and his promise to return to Lums the next day did little to alleviate her unease. However, she decided to trust him for now, hoping that he would eventually share whatever had been troubling him. As the days passed, there was still no sign of Hamza. Neha and Sana's worries deepened, and they continued their attempts to reach out to him. The more they tried, the more their calls and messages went unanswered, leaving them with a growing sense of dread. Neha picked up her phone once again, her fingers trembling as she dialed Hamza's number. The call went to voicemail yet again. She sighed in frustration and exchanged a worried glance with Sana. He's not picking up, Sana, Neha said, her voice filled with concern. Sana nodded, her brows furrowing in worry. I know, Neha. This is getting really strange. We need to find out what's going on. Determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, Neha and Sana decided to pay a visit to Hamza's home once more. They drove to his house, hoping to get some answers from his family. When they arrived, they were met with an eerie silence. The house seemed deserted, with no sign of anyone inside. Neha knocked on the door, but there was no response. She tried calling Hamza's phone again, and this time, it rang from within the house. The two friends exchanged worried glances. Sana said softly, Neha, I think something's really wrong here. We should call the police. With a trembling hand, she dialed the local police station's number. After a few rings, a deep voice on the other end answered, Lahore Police Station, this is Sho Abubakar speaking. How can I assist you? Sana cleared her throat before speaking, Hello, Officer Abubakar. My name is Sana, and I'm calling because we have a friend who has gone missing, and we're extremely concerned. We've tried reaching out to him, and his house appears to be empty. We don't know what to do, and we're really worried. Sho Abubakar recognized the urgency in her voice and replied, I understand your concern, Sana. Can you please provide me with the name and address of your missing friend? Sana quickly shared the necessary information, including Hamza's full name and his last known address. She also mentioned the previous visit to the house and the unanswered phone calls, highlighting the eerie silence they had encountered. The police officer responded, Thank you for sharing this information, Sana. We take cases like this very seriously. I'll dispatch a team to investigate the situation immediately. In the meantime, please try to stay calm and cooperate with the police. We'll do our best to locate your friend and ensure his safety. Sana thanked Sho Abu Bakr for his prompt response. They hoped that with the police involved, they would finally get some answers about Hamza's disappearance. The uncertainty and worry that had plagued them for weeks were far from over, but at least they were taking a significant step toward finding their missing friend and uncovering the mystery behind his absence. Danya, Aruba, and Sana exchanged confused glances as Hania's presence in the house raised more questions than answers. Her voice, so strangely reminiscent of Arham's, sent shivers down their spines. Danya gestured for Hania to sit, and they all settled back into the living room, the atmosphere once again growing tense. What do you mean, clear the confusion? Aruba asked. She stammered. Hania glanced around the room, her eyes lingering on the pictures of Arham that adorned the walls. It was as if the memories of him were etched into the very fabric of the house. Please leave her alone. She is too young for this. Aruba was getting protective of her little sister. She knew Hania could not handle the spirit inside of her, she already felt that. Danya, Aruba, and Sana watched Hania with a mixture of unease and concern. It was clear that something extraordinary and unsettling was happening. Danya, Hania, or rather the entity within her that seemed to be Arham, began, there are things that need to be said, truths that need to be revealed. I know it's difficult to understand, but this is the only way. Aruba continued to hold her sister close, a protective barrier against whatever was happening. I don't care what you have to say. You need to leave Hania alone, she demanded, her voice trembling with fear and anger. Hania, or Arham, sighed deeply, the conflicting emotions of the two spirits within her evident in the haunted look in her eyes. I only hurt bad people. Like Hamza and those who died. Hania is a good girl. I won't hurt her. Danya, Aruba, and Sana already knew that it was Arham who was talking inside Hania. Their worries depend and the terror rises. If they force anything on Arham, Hania would be dead. They need to find some way to free her. Arham. Danya tried to speak to the spirit inside Hania. Bro. Please leave her. She is just an innocent little girl. You can possess me again, but please leave her. Aruba started being overprotective of her sister. Danya, Aruba, and Sana watched with bated breath as Hania, or rather the entity that had once been Arham, seemed to withdraw. The room felt less tense, and the air less oppressive. It was clear that Arham had released his hold on Hania. Hania blinked, her eyes no longer carrying the haunted look that had chilled them moments before. She took a deep breath as if she had just awakened from a long and disturbing dream. Are you okay, Hania? Danya asked, her voice filled with genuine concern. Hania nodded, her voice shaky but unmistakably her own. I think I'm okay now. It's gone. Whatever it was, it's gone. Sana let out a sigh of relief. That was something else. Hania, you scared us. Aruba held back tears as she hugged her sister tightly. I'm so glad you're okay. We won't let anything like that happen to you again. Danya, who had been worried sick, finally managed a weak smile. We're here for you, Hania. Hania looked around the room, her gaze landing on the pictures of Arham. It was as if she were seeing them for the first time. Hania's eyes remained fixed on the pictures of Arham, a profound sense of relief washing over her. As she gazed at those frozen moments of the past, she whispered, almost to herself, it's over now. The room, once fraught with tension and uncertainty, now felt like a sanctuary of safety and solace. Hania was free from the grip of Arham's restless spirit, and her family had stood by her side throughout this inexplicable ordeal. As days turned into weeks, the cloud of uncertainty over Hamza's disappearance loomed heavily over Niha and Sana. They continued to cooperate with the police investigation, providing any information that might help locate their missing friend. One evening, as Neha and Arham sat in a cozy corner of their favorite cafe, their hands intertwined, he took a deep breath and looked into her eyes with unwavering determination. Neha, Arham began, his voice filled with warmth and love, these few weeks were very tough for me. In my mind, I was constantly thinking about you. Thinking of you just relaxes my mind. But throughout it all, one thing has become abundantly clear to me. Neha's heart raced, and she met his gaze, anticipation and curiosity in her eyes. What is it, Arham? Arham reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. He opened it to reveal a glistening diamond ring, its brilliance reflecting in Neha's eyes. This is obviously not a real diamond, but can you still marry me? Tears welled up in Neha's eyes as she gazed at the beautiful ring and then back at Arham. Her heart swelled with love and gratitude for the man who had stood by her side through thick and thin. Yes, Arham, she whispered, her voice filled with emotion. 1,000 times, yes. With Neha's heartfelt acceptance, Arham closed the small velvet box with a smile that radiated relief and joy. They shared a tender moment, sealing their commitment to each other with a loving embrace. As the days passed, the tension surrounding Hamza's disappearance showed no signs of going down. The police investigation had yielded few leads, and the unease that had settled over Neha, Sana, and their friends at Lums only deepened. They continued to hope for Hamza's safe return while trying to piece together the mystery of his sudden vanishing. As Neha and Arham celebrated their engagement, the atmosphere at Neha's home was far from joyous. When she broke the news to her family about her intention to marry Arham, it caused a storm of disagreement and tension. Neha's brother, Zamran, was particularly vocal in his objections. He believed that Neha was making a hasty decision. Neha's family gathered in the living room, tension thick in the air. Her parents sat on the sofa, their expressions a mix of concern and disappointment. Zamran, her older brother, paced back and forth, his frustration evident. I love him. Why can I not marry him? She shouts at everyone. We don't want that cheapo anywhere near you, Zamran said, staring at her. He is not a cheapo. She pauses, and I am not going to marry anyone other than him. Neha said out loud and left the room right away. We have to do something with this guy, Zamran said. As the tension at Neha's home escalated, she knew she needed to make a difficult decision. Late one night, after a heated argument with her family, she retreated to her room and picked up her phone. With trembling hands, she dialed Arham's number, hoping for his support and guidance. The phone rang several times before Arham's voice filled the line. Neha, is everything okay? Tears welled up in Neha's eyes as she replied, Arham, I can't take it anymore. My family is against our marriage, especially Zamran. They don't understand, and I can't bear the constant arguments and tension. Arham's voice was calm and reassuring. Neha, we knew this wouldn't be easy. But remember, we're in this together. We love each other, and that's what matters most. We can't let anyone come between us. Neha sniffled, wiping away her tears. Arham, I don't want to wait any longer. Let's do this. Let's get married, right away. Arham paused for a moment, then replied, Are you sure, Neha? It won't be a grand ceremony, and we won't have all our friends and family there. Neha nodded, even though Arham couldn't see her. I'm sure, Arham. Our love is what matters, not the pomp and circumstance. The next morning, Neha and Arham made a bold decision. They rushed to the courthouse, leaving behind the tense atmosphere at Neha's home. With a few close friends including Sana as witnesses, they exchanged their vows in a simple yet heartfelt ceremony. The judge pronounced them husband and wife, and they sealed their commitment with a loving kiss. As they stepped out of the courthouse hand in hand, Neha felt a sense of liberation and relief. Arham's unwavering support and their spontaneous decision to marry had given her the strength to face the challenges that lay ahead. In the days that followed, Aruba was determined to find a way to bring peace to Arham's tormented spirit. She spent hours researching paranormal experts and mediums who might be able to help. Late one evening, after the others had gone to bed, Aruba sat in front of her laptop, scrolling through countless websites and forums dedicated to the supernatural. She continued her tireless research into paranormal experts and mediums, seeking a solution that would bring peace to Arham's restless spirit. Her laptop became her constant companion, its screen illuminated late into the night as she delved deeper into the enigmatic world of the supernatural. She leaned back in her chair, rubbing her temples. Just then, Sana entered the dimly lit room, concern etched on her face. Aruba, you've been at this for hours. Are you making any progress? Sana asked softly, her voice filled with worry. I'm trying, Sana, but it's not easy. There are so many supposed experts out there, and it's hard to separate fact from fiction. I don't want to give Hania false hope. At this very moment, Hania entered the room. Hey. I think I can help you. Hania paused. It was like she hesitated to say something. For a few days. I saw you searching for a spirit expert. Yes. But what you can do about it? Aruba said, confused. I know some guy who is an expert in this type of stuff, but promise me you won't be angry on me. Your boyfriend, right? Sana smiled at her. Aruba's eyes widened with surprise, and then a flicker of realization crossed her face. Hania, you've known someone who can help with this all along. Her tone held a mix of disbelief and frustration. Hania nodded, her eyes downcast as if she anticipated her sister's reaction. Yes, his name is Usama. He's an expert in this kind of stuff, like you said. I didn't tell you earlier because I knew you'd be angry with me. Aruba couldn't help but feel a surge of anger rising within her. She had been tirelessly searching for a solution, and here was Hania, seemingly aware of someone who could help, but she had kept it a secret. Hania, do you realize how important this is to us? Arham's spirit is still here, and we need all the help we can get. Why wouldn't you tell us about Usama earlier? Hania's voice quivered as she responded, I was scared, Aruba. Scared that you would be angry with me that I had a boyfriend. He is a good guy, believe me. Sana interjected, her tone more understanding. Aruba, let her live her life her own way. Usama must be a good guy. Sana held Hannah's hand and said to her, please can you take us to Usama, or call him here? I will ask him and update you guys soon, Hania said and left the room. Aruba and Sana exchanged glances, uncertainty written across their faces. The prospect of meeting Usama, the supposed spirit expert, brought a mix of hope and trepidation. Aruba finally broke the silence. I have asked him, and he agreed to meet you guys around 12:45 p.m. at the University of South Asia. You guys can go there anytime. Hania said to Sana and Aruba. Okay, Hania. We'll meet Usama at the University of South Asia, but I have a lot of questions for him. We need to make sure he's the real deal, and that he can genuinely help Arham. Hania nodded eagerly, relieved that her secret was finally out in the open. I promise, Aruba, he's the real deal. Just give him a chance. Only Sana and Aruba went to the university. They saw two guys and Aruba thought that she never asked Hania about what Usama looked like. Shit, Aruba said. What happened? Sana asks. We didn't ask Hania about what Usama looks like. Let's ask these guys. One of them might be Usama. Sana said. They both want to try their luck and they asked the guys. By any chance, one of you is Usama? Aruba asks those guys. I am Usama, and you must be Aruba. Hania's sister. She told me about you. And he is Abu Bakr. A thin guy said, with a fat one standing next to him, who is definitely Abu Bakr. Aruba and Sana exchanged glances, surprised to find themselves face to face with Usama without needing to call Hania. Aruba couldn't help but feel a mixture of relief and curiosity. Yes. I am Aruba and she is Sana. Aruba said, pointing towards Sana. Then she continued, we need your help. If you are what Hania said. As they walked together towards a nearby bench shaded by a cluster of trees, Aruba began to share the details of Arham's troubled spirit and the strange occurrences that had plagued their lives since his passing. Usama and Abu Bakr listened intently as Aruba shared the unsettling story of Arham's restless spirit and the inexplicable events that had haunted them. The wind rustled through the leaves above them, adding an eerie ambience to the conversation. Usama leaned forward, his expression serious yet compassionate. I understand that this is a difficult and distressing situation for you both, he said softly. But I want you to know that I've dealt with cases like this before, and I believe I can help. Sana, still feeling a bit skeptical, asked, how can you help, Usama? What exactly do you do? Usama gave a reassuring smile. I specialize in communicating with spirits and entities that are stuck between this world and the next. My goal is to understand why Arham's spirit might be restless and help him find peace. Aruba nodded, her eyes filled with hope. We're willing to do whatever it takes, Usama. We just want Arham to find peace and for our lives to return to normal. Usama then turned to Abu Bakr, who had been quietly observing the conversation. Abu Bakr, you'll also play a crucial role in this process. Sometimes, spirits may be trying to convey a message or resolve unfinished business. Your support in deciphering any clues or messages Arham might have will be invaluable. I'll do my best to help. If this Arham guy speaks some ghostly language. Abu Bakr, looking overwhelmed by the situation. Usama and Abu Bakr, both friends, are weird, having weird interests. Usama is specialized in everything related to the sport, but he can't understand what they say. On the other hand, Abu Bakr is said to be the only demonologist in Lahore. He understands all the weird languages that nobody even dare to see. Usama and Abu Bakr continued to explain their roles and the steps they would take to help Arham's spirit find peace. Our first step will be to conduct a séance to establish direct communication with Arham. During the séance, we'll create a bridge between the spirit world and our own. Abu Bakr will use his expertise to interpret any messages or signs Arham might provide. Usama spoke with a calm assurance. Abu Bakr chimed in, a hint of excitement in his voice. I'll prepare the necessary ritual and protective measures to ensure a safe and controlled environment. This is crucial, as we'll be inviting spirits into our realm and must be cautious. Sana nodded, slowly warming up to the idea. All right, we're willing to give this a try to whatever this séance is. Anything to help Arham and ourselves. Usama and Abu Bakr exchanged knowing glances, appreciating Sana's willingness to go through with the séance. They could sense her uncertainty but were determined to guide her through this challenging journey. What if he possesses one of us? Aruba and Sana asked. He can't possess me, and don't worry. I won't let him possess any one of you. Usama gives them assurance. The same day and night they all gathered for the ritual thing at Aruba's house. First Aruba and Sana agreed to the ritual, but now they both started feeling someone's presence in the room, mostly Aruba because she had already got possessed by Arham. Usama started preparing for the ritual. Let us get ready, bring everyone inside the house in this room. Everyone is here. My husband is in office, and I dropped Hania to Nanny's house. Nanny is grandmother from mother's side. It is getting too dark. Usama started the ritual. Everything seems to look like normal. Nothing happened. Aruba, Sana, and Abu Bakr saw nothing and didn't feel anything. They just saw Usama doing weird gestures, but there is one thing. Usama felt something. He is in contact with someone, not just one but many ghostly creatures. It was like someone was trying to get into this world from the underworld. I can't see Arham. But there is something far more dangerous than that. It's going to come soon. Usama said he was scared about something bad going to happen. What? What's going to happen? Sana and Aruba asked. I don't know. Usama stood up and was ready to leave. Please let me know if you guys feel anything related to Arham, and let's go Abu Bakr. This guy is crazy, Sana said as she saw both of them leaving. It is 7 a.m. in the morning, Sunday. Usama wanted to meet Hayati. Hania asks Aruba at the breakfast table. He called me tomorrow night when you guys performed some ritual. I told him about Hayati. Give me his number, Aruba asks politely as she puts on her doctor's lab coat. I will give him details, and be careful with this ghost guy. For every single person in Lahore, the person who is directly related to Arham, or somehow said to be loosely related to him, like his direct friends or friends of friends, their lives seem to be changing at every point. Mainly, for Aruba, her best friend Sana, Arham's sister Danya, his wife Hayati, and now Usama, the new spirit guy. The spirit of Arham woven itself into the fabric of their lives. Afternoon. Aruba message Usama, meet me at Askari 10 main gate. From there I will take you to Niha's house. In an hour. Usama replied, yes, and went there on time. Where do we have to go now? Both of them went to Niha's house, and this time again Zamran opened the door. Hey. Zamran. Right. Usama said, thinking. How do you know me? He asks. Let me think. Usama pauses for a moment. I saw you with Abu Bakr. Ooh. So you are that spirit guy. You guys want to catch Arham. And want to meet Niha right now. He said, looking at Aruba. You know about Arham all this time? Aruba asks. I listened to you guys that day. Niha always acts weird when thinking of Arham. Zamran fake smiled and said, if you guys want Niha. She went to church. Okay. Usama and Aruba said in unison. Usama and Aruba waited patiently outside the church, their eyes scanning the surroundings for any sign of Niha. After a few moments, they spotted her emerging from the church doors, her face carrying a mixture of emotions. She seemed lost in thought. Aruba stepped forward, calling out gently, Niha. Niha's eyes flickered, and she turned to see Aruba and a guy standing there. She saw Usama for the first time. Surprise and confusion danced in her eyes. Aruba? What are you doing here? And who is he? He is Usama. He will help you. Aruba briefly introduced Usama to Niha but not the other way. We've been trying to find you, Aruba explained. We need to talk to you about something important. Niha nodded, and her curiosity increased. All right, let's talk. But can we go somewhere more private? I don't want to discuss it here. Usama and Aruba followed Niha to a quieter spot nearby, a park bench hidden away from the prying eyes of passers-by. As they sat down, Usama couldn't help but feel a sense of tension in the air. Usama turned to Niha, his voice gentle and reassuring. Niha, we're here because we've been trying to understand what happened with Arham, and how his presence seems to be affecting those who knew him. We believe you might have some insights that could help us. Niha's gaze fell to her hands, her fingers fidgeting nervously. Memories of Arham flooded her mind, and she hesitated for a moment before speaking. Arham, he was a wonderful person, full of life. But he's gone now, and some things are best left in the past. Usama leaned forward, his eyes filled with empathy. Niha, we understand that this might be difficult for you. But if you could share anything about your experiences or feelings related to Arham, it could help us piece together what's happening. Niha took a deep breath, her eyes welling up with tears. She looked at Aruba, who extended her hand gently. It's okay, Niha. Everything would be all right. I don't want to recall those memories. Please don't force me. Niha started sobbing. Usama nodded in understanding, recognizing the sensitivity of the situation. I understand, Niha. If you can't tell us verbally, could you allow me to hold your hand to establish a connection? Niha hesitated, her emotions wavering, and her gaze fell to her lap. After a moment of contemplation, she shook her head gently. I'm sorry, but I can't allow a male to touch me, especially after Arham's death. But Aruba, you can hold my hand, and if that helps, I'm willing to try. Aruba gave Niha a reassuring smile and gently held her hand. Usama reached out and grasped Aruba's hand, creating a subtle connection between them. As the connection formed, Usama delved into Niha's memories, the images and emotions flooding his mind. He saw the joyous moments she had shared with Arham, the laughter and the love that had once filled her heart. They had been inseparable, their love a beacon of happiness in their lives. But then, as the memories unfolded, Usama's heart sank. He saw a disturbing image. Arham, the vibrant and loving soul, is confronted by a police officer in a fateful and tragic encounter. The memory was hazy, shrouded in fear and confusion. Arham's eyes widened in disbelief as the situation escalated, and the police officer's actions turned violent. It was a chilling moment frozen in time, a moment of betrayal and brutality that would forever haunt Niha's memories. Usama withdrew from the connection, his face etched with solemnity. Niha, I've seen it. I've seen what happened to Arham. He paused, giving her a moment to collect herself. Actually, I saw what you saw, Aruba said, totally confused. Your powers are amazing. I think I know that police officer. He is Officer Abubakar. Niha spoke, looking down at her lap. He hates Arham. Niha started crying and left the park, running toward where Usama and Aruba came from. Usama and Aruba looked at each other and both were lost in their thoughts as Niha's revelation settled upon them. Officer Abubakar, the man responsible for Arham's tragic death, was a revelation neither of them had anticipated. We have to follow her, Aruba said urgently. It's useless. She won't say anything. Just let her be. Usama said, still in shock for what he had seen from Niha's memories. I don't understand one thing. Aruba is far more confused than Usama. I don't understand a lot of things. Usama paused for a moment. Should we go to this inspector or whatever? It is not that easy. We can't just go and ask him, why did you kill Arham? What do we have to do? Usama is getting more and more confused every time he pushes his mind to think of a solution. Wait. I think I feel someone. As Aruba stood there, her senses suddenly began to blur, and her vision shifted. It was as though she had been transported into a different realm. She felt disconnected from her body. Usama watched in astonishment as Aruba's eyes glazed over, and she seemed to be in a trance. He reached out to touch her, but her hand met him with a shocking coldness. Before he could react, a voice. So you want the truth? Aruba said in a masculine voice. Ooh. So you are Arham. Usama paused and gave her a brief look. Don't worry, Aruba. Stay calm. He won't do anything. Usama said to possess a version of Aruba. Arham, speaking through Aruba, fixed his gaze on Usama, his eyes piercing and filled with a mix of anger and sorrow. You seek the truth, but the truth is a dangerous path, he cautioned. Officer Abubakar had his reasons, dark and twisted, just like the secrets buried within these walls. Usama, his heart racing, struggled to maintain his composure. Arham, we need to know those reasons. We need to put your spirit to rest. Can you tell us why this inspector killed you? Aruba, or rather, the vessel for Arham's voice, seemed for a moment as if battling conflicting emotions. You must understand. Arham's voice quivered with an undercurrent of sadness. I stumbled upon something I shouldn't have, something that could have brought down powerful people. Abubakar was just a pawn in a much larger game. He killed me to protect those hidden truths. Usama leaned closer, his curiosity increased. What did you discover, Arham? What was so significant that it led to your murder? Aruba's body trembled as if struggling against an invisible force. Arham's voice wavered. It was a collection of documents of different people, hidden within the precinct's vault. It contained evidence of corruption, links to organized crime, and even involvement of high-ranking officials. I had unknowingly come too close to exposing it. The place seemed to grow colder, and Usama could see the immense weight of Arham's revelation pressing down on Aruba. Arham, we must get those documents. We need to bring those responsible to justice. Arham, still speaking through Aruba, offered a faint, ethereal smile. It won't be easy. Officer Abubakar is just a puppet in a grander scheme. I like difficult stuff. Usama nodded in determination, his mind racing with thoughts of how to uncover the truth and bring those responsible to justice. We won't rest until we expose the corruption, Arham. I will put your wandering soul to peaceful rest. Arham's voice began to fade, and Aruba's senses slowly returned to her. She blinked, confused and disoriented. Usama, what just happened? Usama shared a glance with her, his voice steady. Arham spoke through you, Aruba. He told us about the documents and why Abubakar killed him. We have a long road ahead, but we'll get to the bottom of this. As the gravity of their mission settled upon them, Usama and Aruba knew that they were now part of a perilous journey to uncover the truth. Aruba and Usama were constantly thinking and struggling to solve a mysterious problem that had taken over their lives. Their determined pursuit of the truth was evident in their furrowed brows. They knew revealing the hidden truth was risky, and the formidable show Abubakar was always on their minds. They realized that even considering action against those mentioned in the secret document could lead to their destruction. Aruba and Usama were well aware that their adversaries had the power to ruin them if they suspected any intention to expose their secrets. We may have to seek Humi Arham's assistance. Usama gazes in Aruba's direction, contemplating for a moment. Because having him with us will make our task easier. But what's the plan? Aruba asks Usama, and do you believe Arham will join us? I don't know if Arham will join us, Usama admitted, uncertainty tinging his voice. But we have to try. His ghost abilities might be our best chance at unraveling this intricate web of deception. Aruba nodded, her concern mirrored in her eyes. All right, let's assume he's on board. What's the plan then? We can't just barge in and confront our adversaries, that would be reckless. Your words make sense, but... Usama took a pause, he was confused. We cannot force them to confess using Arham. He would already have done that if he wanted to do that. We have to prove them guilty. Wait. If you want to communicate with Arham, there must be a host body. And I don't want to get possessed by him again. Aruba was scared because of the last time. I can talk to him without him possessing anyone. When he possessed you earlier, I can free you in seconds. I just go with the flow. Usama smiled. You cheater. Aruba punched him,